introduce them as we're getting everything set up here. I just wanted to say that I wanted to give a special shout out to the folks at EDF. They have been an incredible long-term partner with us to make these pavilions possible, especially in New York City. This is our first engagement doing an EDF session here in the area, so it's especially special that we're getting to do this session with our sponsor today, and we're excited to talk about the programs and the alumni that have been a part of it, to also talk about their career journeys, and we're hoping that this will kind of be a tone-setting conversation for the day on what do green jobs really look like, what are the things that maybe people need to talk more about, and I'm excited for them to have a very transparent conversation today. So we're going to dive into it, and I will get you guys more microphones in just a second, but feel free to introduce yourselves and pass the mic in the meantime while I get that set up.
Thank you so much, Christy. I have to say, I have admired Christy and her team's work for so many years, and EDF and Climate Corps have partnered with her in different ways, but this is quite nostalgic for me. I moved to SF about 8 years ago. I'm a career pivoter, and I never thought that I would be speaking at SF Climate Week, so this is cool, and especially alongside you guys. I'm holding 2 mics. Do you mind holding one? Thank you. Okay, I just want to start off, before we do introductions, have you ever had something in your career or job search go sideways? If you have, raise your hand. Anything unexpected ever happen in your career? Was a job not what you thought it was? Was a supervisor not who they thought they were? Okay, most of the crowd. It happens more often than you think, and I think all of us have stories about the real realities of working in climate. These sustainability professionals know that their career choice will be both rewarding and difficult, but some of those realities of the job come as a big surprise, and we don't want them to be surprises to you as you embark on your journey or you go through your climate journeys, and that's why we're here today. So my name is Sophie Marx. I'm the U.S. Director of the Climate Corps program at the Environmental Defense Fund. Just a quick background on Climate Corps. We're not here to sell you the program. I definitely want to make sure that you know. Climate Corps is a 20-year-old program that pairs really passionate and talented graduate students with organizations and companies across the country and across the world. Across the world. I'm the director of the US program, but we also have programs in India and China. I am joined today by an absolute rock star panel, some of my favorite alum. I can say that because I think you're the only alum here. Some of my favorite alum to ever go through the Climate Corps program. And we're here to talk today about 4 different realities that we've seen in working in climate. What surprised them, what challenged them, and how knowing about those realities made the difference between burning out and breaking through in their climate careers. So I will let them introduce themselves, and we will start with Hanna.
Okay. Hi. All right, hi. My name is Hanna. I was a Climate Corps Fellow in 2022, placed with my host organization, Colgate-Palmolive, and since then, I've worked at a few different jobs, and right now I work full-time at Ye-Anew Global Consulting as a Director of Supply Chain Sustainability, and part-time as a startup called Decarb Nexus as the Founding Strategy and Operations Lead.
Hi everyone, I'm Abhinav. I did my Climate Corps Fellowship in 2020. I was working at Google's Climate and Energy team, research team. After that, I worked at a data engineering company, and currently I work at Mainspring Energy as a senior business analyst.
Hi everyone, my name is Lillian. It's so great to be here with you all today. I was a 2023 EDF Climate Corps Fellow with the U.S. General Services Administration, which is a federal agency, and today I am with the California State Government in the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, or GOBIZ for short. And I'm the program manager for hydrogen and fuel cell market development, which is part of our zero emission vehicle market development team. We love long names in government.
Hi everybody, my name is Julia Wilson. I was a Climate Corps Fellow in 2022 for a private equity firm called Rotunda Capital. I had the privilege of starting their ESG program from scratch, which was very exciting. And today I work at Salesforce. I'm a manager on the sustainability intelligence team. So thinking all things data and technology and how can we decarbonize the world.
Ooh, you okay? All right. Didn't know if that was me or them. So, like I said, we're going to talk about 4 realities that you might face in your Climate Corps career. We're really here to real talk to you and not sugarcoat the climate and sustainability journey that you may or may not go on. But there's always a solution to a reality. I will, spoiler alert. So I just want to kick right off. So we're going to start with Hanna. The first reality that I want to talk about is that you may be the only one in the room who cares as a sustainability professional. You may be the only one who cares about reducing carbon, but that is your job. Climate work often happens at companies where sustainability isn't its core mission. You might be talking to suppliers who really don't care that much at first. Or you might be talking to your own legal and procurement teams who are new on their sustainability journey. I would love to know, Hanna, what's your experience been like in speaking to people who may or may not care about your sustainability goals? And if I can plug Climate Corps a little bit, did your fellowship at Climate Corps prepare you for that?
Of course it did, but I'm happy to elaborate on my experience. So yeah, the talking to people who don't care too much about it, that's definitely the world of supply chain sustainability. Not all suppliers, right? Like some suppliers are bigger and more advanced than their clients in the sustainability journey, but a lot of what I do, especially in my full-time, engaging with suppliers on the ground in APAC, so think like a Chinese company who's been manufacturing electronic parts for the big techs, right? And they're now setting up a new factory in Vietnam, and they have like a million things to work on for the new factory. And here we come in and say like, so how are you gonna make sure your power is gonna be green? And then they're like, what? And so he said, well, but your client want you to have a roadmap, how you achieve net zero by 2030. And they're like, why? So that's a lot of like starting out, trying to get them to sign on to your vision, which is definitely not easy. Starting from the very basic concept sometimes, like what is a rec, right? Like why do you need to do it? Trying to speak more to the mutual interest, right? Like just because your client asks you to do it, this is not like fully the reason, especially if they're not like a huge client, but they're speaking to their, and that may be like a whole other topic, like the benefits of doing supply chain sustainability, right? Like cost saving or like branding, and really spending that time to build up that relationship for this kind of like long-term success. So that's what we do every day. Obviously within our company, within the team, like we work as a team, but then externally sometimes we feel like, we're a little alone, but then it's a very rewarding process when they eventually like really do something and then they really started from ground zero. So so that's just like my day-to-day job, which echoed very similarly to what I did back at Colgate, where I developed their first net zero roadmap for their logistics department. So that is actually, again, like in-house, my personal feeling has been very similar when you talk to departments who've been thinking about, their loading size, their routing efficiency, and all of a sudden you come in and ask for their carbon footprint. It's the same thing, going back to the basic definition, why we're doing it, speaking to the mutual interest, and then eventually finding that synergy and building that trust to do something new and exciting. So thank you, Climate Corps, for preparing me for that.
Thank you. I absolutely love the concept of going back to what the person you're speaking to, what their goals are, and seeing where you can find commonalities there. Because I think that sometimes gets lost in conversation, and they think you're only trying to get your goals across, where it's really you're trying to help them get their goals accomplished as well. And the more we can bridge that gap, climate is such a human thing. It's very cool. All right, the next reality is for Abhinav. You ready?
Yes.
All right, the reality is that your job title probably won't match your impact, and you probably won't be able to easily talk about what you do at a cocktail party. And you might work in a big company that, again, their main goal isn't climate, and you may feel like your impact isn't readily available for someone to read on your resume, or your title doesn't communicate what you're actually doing at the company. So I would love to know from you, how do you communicate your impact when the organizational chart does not tell the story? How do you talk to your grandma about what you do?
There's one thing everybody needs to know, like labels, titles, brands, they don't really mean anything unless you can convey the real value that you brought forward in what you did at your time at that company. So for example, like I interned at many places, like including PG&E, Google, and like these are all big names and have a lot of value, behind them. But none of the employers I interviewed for cared about where I came from. They really wanted to know what I worked on and how I created the impact and the result of it. So, for example, if I say, oh, I'm a senior business analyst, that doesn't say anything. But if I say I evaluated $20 million worth of projects and drove them to a success, and also built automated analytical models that improved our efficiency by 50% and improved our accuracy by 20%. That is definitely much more impactful and a good, talking point when you're introducing yourself to someone, at a networking session. So I would say definitely lead by data. So, for example, if you're working in energy or climate, you can talk about, of course, the first emissions, how many emissions you avoided, like either in metric tons of CO2. You can talk about the size of the projects you worked on in kilowatts, megawatts, or gigawatts, or any other metric. You can talk about the number of projects you did, and also the dollar amount, like how big was the project, how many $1 million was the impact of it. Apart from the data, you have to absolutely talk about not only the project, but the impact of the project on the business for your company, but also how did it impact the goal of the company outside the company itself, how it impacts the environment and the climate. So definitely try to quantify and convert things into practical examples of what you work, in your day-to-day job. So, yeah.
I love that. Going back to the data is always such a powerful thing in climate. And I'll just share a quick anecdote. At Climate Corps, we get asked how many emissions and how many dollars our fellows saved every single day. And we have that number. I think it's extremely, extremely compelling. What has gotten a little bit further for us, and you can sort of try this, is stories about the humans as well, and the stories about you. So if you have a human interaction with another human on the other side of it, and you can tell a story about how you brought that supplier along, or how you brought that energy associate along for the ride, I think that is maybe not just as compelling as the data just yet, because we really love numbers, but the human part of it as well is something that is and can be important. All right, moving on. Reality number 3. You ready, Lillian?
Yep.
Okay. Make it like a big suspense thing. It's not. It's not that crazy in reality. So in climate, I think everybody in this room knows that progress can be frustrating. The goalposts keep moving, policy shifts, funding changes. You know this better than anybody, Lillian. Climate careers really require an unusual tolerance for uncertainty. They require this grit and this resilience that it is not going to be a straight path to your goal, no matter how low-hanging your goal might seem or how logical your goal might seem, and things can get tripped up. So Lillian, I would love to know, how did you develop that resilience and patience to navigate the crazy world that is climate and sustainability?
That's a great question, and I think last year was an ultimate whirlwind and tornado in terms of working in the climate space, and we're all familiar with that. The setbacks were very, very strong. And so it wasn't any one thing, it was many things. I think I'm lucky enough to sit on a team where we all care about zero emission vehicles, and within government, and especially in California, we all care a lot. And there's been huge setbacks of like our regulations getting knocked out from under us by the federal administration, and also our budget not being in the best place, right? We don't have a ton of money to make up for the lack of regulatory drivers to drive zero emission vehicle adoption. So I think first is the human aspect of like, you need to do to cycle out what you do to like find joy, right? Like vent with your coworkers and like just be real. And I think acknowledging what you're feeling with the people around you and like validating the experience, because it is tough. I think that's really like the first thing, like be real about what you're experiencing. And yeah, like any little silver lining, like look for those and recognize those and share those with the people around you as well, right? Like despite all of those, we still did get a huge adoption of zero emission vehicles in the last quarter of 2025. And 1 in 4 vehicles in California sold today is still an EV. And those are critical things. Like progress isn't gonna stop, but sure, like it may be at a slower rate. And so I think at this juncture, even in the state where there's a ton of people who care, you just have to figure out how to do more with less, frankly. But yeah, also leaning into community. I think like going to events with my fellow EDF Climate Corps fellows and other climate community groups, like that really filled my cup last year. Like after a long day, I would be drained from work, like trying to keep our federal funding, and then ultimately our 1.2 billion got canceled. Like that's devastating, that's a gut punch. And you know, being with other people in climate and energy, like that's what revived me really. And like doing hobbies, like it's hard when you're really passionate about your work because you want to succeed, but then when you care a lot about your work and you're passionate about it, you can also get like really let down when things go awry. So I think as much as possible, like recognizing the silver linings, figuring out how you can still get to yes and move forward despite those challenges, and also zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. Like 10 years ago, like we're so much further as a whole entire industry, and just thinking about the amount of jobs in this space, like we're still ahead than where we were. So like in the grand scheme of things, like things are moving along even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment.
What a beautiful answer. Also, just because, you know, Artemis just splashed down a couple of weeks ago, and really zooming out to get that perspective to build the resilience that you need to do this work is so important, and I love how you articulated that. I was just a little distracted by Abhinav's socks, which are these beautiful trees, these redwood trees on his socks. So if you get a chance to look at his socks later, it's a good networking opener for Abhinav. Just as a side note. And speaking of networking, this is actually not a harsh reality. This is just a true reality that I want everybody to know. But your network is your lifeline that you must invest in. And I, you know, might sound on stage like an extrovert. I am a true introvert. I have to drag myself out of the house to go to a happy hour. Even with people I love and know, but especially with strangers, it's like hard. And humans, the humans, the humans, the people, the people, the people. Right, so Julia, how do you nurture your network and keep it warm to endure these career challenges? What are your tips?
Well, first of all, I had no idea you were introverted, so that's news. But yeah, I want to go a little bit back to my experience in grad school. I went to UCSB's Bren School of Environmental Science and Management, actually with Lillian. Go Gauchos. And at UCSB, we had a really strong career program, a career readiness program, and they focused so much on networking. And I remember when I first got there and I was just so tired of hearing the word network. It was just like, do I actually need to be taught how to mingle and how to hold a plate of food and a glass of wine while having conversation? Like, what am I paying for? But I ended up, graduating from the Bren School, starting my job search in climate, which, as we all know, is really, really hard. And around month 3 or 4 of the job search, started to see a trend in any kind of progress I was making in my interviews or even getting an interview. And I recognized that every single one that was having a positive outcome was because I had some kind of human connection at that organization or that company. And the role that I'm in today at Salesforce is actually because there was a woman who went to the Bren School with me and referred me, and that's how I landed this job, really. So at that moment, I had to look back on my younger self and share some gratitude for the career team, because they were right. It really is your network that pushes you along. So flash forward to my job today. It's such a dream to work in the position that I have. But like all of these wonderful colleagues have mentioned, it's a hard career, and it can be super draining. And when I started to feel some of those setbacks, I wanted to be surrounded by my Bren community again, but obviously that had since fled my life. And so I looked around a little bit more and started tapping back into the Climate Corps group. So going to happy hours, doing exactly what Lillian said, which was after a hard day, pushing myself to go to that happy hour and connect with humans who were experiencing similar setbacks to really recharge myself. And that has been super, super important for me, and I think all of my colleagues up here as well, of how to stay inspired and energized and not burn out, frankly. So my call to action to all of you today is, if you aren't already in some kind of networking group, join one. And for moving forward, when you're having that hard day and that happy hour sounds horrible, whether you're extroverted or introverted, please go.
It's true, I am introverted. But we're speaking a lot about network, and you're all here because you got out of bed to go to a networking event that Christy so wonderfully curated, and it's such a cool thing to see all of your faces here. So you've done the work, you've maybe even completed Julia's call to action, but just keep going. Just my son just watched Finding Nemo, so just keep swimming. And you never know where your next connection might be. I think we have time for one question, or 2 questions. Yes.
You mentioned Climate Corps.
Yeah.
How do you spell that? What's the URL?
I will talk to you right after this. I'll give you all of the information to it. But it's part of Environmental Defense Fund, and it's the Climate Corps program, so CORPS. But I will definitely talk to you about that afterwards. Does anybody else have another question? If you don't, I have a lightning round question for my panelists. Oh, back there.
I was wondering if you guys have any advice for people who are looking to transition from a completely unrelated industry into trendy.
Yeah, I definitely have an answer to this question because I started in fashion and I came here, much like I think Isaiah's. But I want to let you guys answer this question. Do you have any advice? Are you any of you career pivoters?
Let's see, I started out, my undergrad was media studies, and I started out in corporate PR for my first real job. So it wasn't like so much of a super intentional transition, more of like, you know, then like PR turned into CSR, CSR got added sustainability and green travel stuff, and then when the CSR program went down, then I started focusing more on like just sustainability and practically environmental sustainability. So it was like one thing that led to another. And I kind of feel like looking back, this kind of very intentional adding related scope to either your actual job or like even like side things, certificates or you know, volunteering, because after a few years of being in the environment without having an environmental degree, I was like, okay, I need to go back and get a real degree. So that's when I went back to my master's, and coming out it also like, you know, helped me more. So that was my personal experience.
I would say you definitely need to be on a platform that elevates you, that markets for you. So either that could be a degree or be a network or a platform that somehow just either pairs you with a mentor and they can post about you. So you need someone to talk, like advertise you. And yeah, anyone else?
So EDF has a number of resources. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, so I can actually talk to you afterwards too. But a really incredible resource that my colleague Daniel Hill started is a platform called Open Door Climate. And that is where climate and sustainability professionals can sign up to have 30-minute chats with people who are trying to break into the climate industry. I would also, you're doing the right thing, you're here, and you're talking to all of these people who also want to be in the job. So Christy has created this incredible place for you to land. So I think that you're already doing the right thing. And then keep showing up. There's incredible resources that work on climate too. But so Work on Climate and Open Door Climate would be the ones that I would really encourage you to go into, and then really think about the applicable skills. If you're applying to climate jobs, think about how your skills are transferable. And you know, frankly, that's how I got in. I was like, oh, I'm a communicator. I can communicate. Put me on the PR team for the communications piece of it. And really just think about the transferable skills, because I bet you have more than you think. I just want to end on one quick lightning round question. If there aren't any, oh yeah, go ahead.
On the same thread, any resources for like teens and high schoolers?
Teens and high schoolers.
Or just to learn about what's out there.
You guys have anything?
Events like this are perfect, honestly, going to panels and hearing from people who are actually in the field doing the job so that you can get a better idea of what it is you'll be working on, and therefore like what kind of skills or projects you can lean into at school or in your personal time.
Yeah, I would also say Open Door Climate would probably speak, you know, that anybody can sort of sign up for Open Door Climate, so you can, I don't think there's like an age, a bottom age limit. I love the idea. Christy, you might have more, you know, more youth resources than I do. Where Climate Corps, unfortunately requires a graduate degree.
Definitely try to reach out to people who have work. Work as in like professors definitely are keen to keep going, keep the projects going. So they always have research projects. So try to look for the research assistant positions. If there's none posted online, you have to like go and talk to professors, show them you are extra interested, and make a position for yourself. So that is something like I did, and like teens who don't have as much resources or experience, they can do that with their teachers or just working on projects by themselves online. A little bit on networking, try to find people who trust you. When you're pivoting careers, all the employers are scared to take someone who's not from the industry just because they don't know them, they can't trust them. They just have plenty of other candidates who are already there. Try to build connection and relationships with people who just trust you more and will take a chance on you. Because we need more people like that, otherwise nobody's going to go anywhere. If we just look at resumes and qualifications, we need people who can take a chance on other people, even though they don't meet like 80 or 90% of the profile. So, yeah.
Okay, I have one last lightning round question for my panelists. I just want to hear what everybody's very first job was. And the experiment here is to prove that no matter what your first job was, or even if it's your current job, that you can get to a wonderful, amazing, vibrant career in climate. So I know what your first job is, and I'm very excited for it.
I mean, my first paid job was a corporate PR job, but my first non-paid job, because I came to America and turns out I need to log volunteer hours, and I was like, where do I go? Local YMCA said, oh, you can come and volunteer and teach swimming lessons. So I did that for little kids without knowing how to swim. Fun times. Yes, you're emphasizing the without part, and I agree.
It's a beautiful demonstration of, not having imposter syndrome.
It prepped me as well for sustainability.
I'll tell you about the projects I ran away from. My first job was like at an event management company, and I worked there for like 2 weeks, and I couldn't do it. I literally ran away because the CEO caught me sleeping in the office. Then worked at a B2B startup for like 2 months, and then took up marine engineering to go on the ships, studied everything, didn't work out, left that and all of that. And finally decided that, okay, environment is something I cared about, and my skills apply to the energy industry, and so I need to do a master's. And that's when my career took off.
My first job in high school was selling prom dresses at a bridal shop, so not very relevant to EVs.
My first job in middle school was working at an orthodontics office, and I got a discount on my braces, which was pretty sweet.
I just want to, that exercise just proves that wherever you come from and wherever you are, you can really, you can break into the industry. It's not impossible, and you can even pivot your career, and you can reach high heights. I guess we'll end on a cheesy note, hey? Yeah? Okay. All right, thank you.